Trojan family, what is going on? Welcome to the USC LAFB show here on a beautiful Friday afternoon in the Southland. Hope everyone is doing as well. I'm your host, Ryan Dyrud, and this is the LAFB Network. It's rivalry week. Notre Dame, USC is mid-flight right now on their way to South Bend to take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish tomorrow evening, 7:30 p.m. local, 4:30 p.m. here in the Southland, and it's going to be a great game, as it always is. 20th ranked USC playing 13th ranked Notre Dame in what could be the final installment of this historic rivalry. Nothing scheduled past this season, although we all want it to be, but should it be? So I wanted to get on here right now. Been a big discussion on social among many people, but I got involved in it more last night. I mean, we got involved in it back in May, back in the Big Ten Media Day in July. So it's been a discussion for a long time. But I truly believe, and I don't mean this in a negative, I guess, connotation, if people take it that way, but I do believe Notre Dame needs USC more than USC needs Notre Dame. And so I wanted to get on here and explain why. That doesn't mean, for all you Notre Dame fans, first of all, thank you for hate watching this. You know, that's great. Comment below, leave your thoughts. Hate watch it all you want. That doesn't mean Notre Dame is going to like shrivel up and die if they don't play USC. So let's not like misrepresent what words really mean. But I don't think there's, in my opinion, and many others out there, much of an argument that USC needs Notre Dame more than vice versa because of this new age of college football, because of the realignment, yada, 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 so forth. We'll get all into that through the show. Wanted to get on here and just purvey my thoughts, hopefully in a coherent way, and then we can further debate from there. First, I want to say this. As a college football fan, as a fan of the beautiful game that is college athletics and specifically college football, I never want to see this rivalry end, ever. If it was my choice just as a fan, this game would be played every year during rivalry week at the end of the season. Whether it's in South Bend in the rain or the snow or beautiful LA in November, as a fan, that's what I would love to see. The 95 years of history, the iconic uniform matchup of the Cardinal in red and the Trojan horse and the Golden Domers. As a fan, that's what you want to see. As a realist that knows the landscape of college football, that's just not beneficial to USC. And that's the way you have to look at this. And fans will say it's USC running scared, it's cowardice, whatever superlatives or adjectives you want to use. I don't think it is. I think it's merely, in a sport now that has become a business, you can blame USC, but just look across the landscape. This is not just USC doing this. It happens to be the top storyline because it's one of the most iconic rivalries. But it's not good business for them to have this game scheduled that late in the year when it is a non-conference game. So let's get into all of that, right? Quickly, before we do, quick shout out to our friends over at Sleeper, #1 sports app today. We'll get this out of the way quickly. Don't worry. I feel like I was on a heater there. So download the Sleeper app today. When you go to make your first deposit, use our promo code USCLAFB. You're going to get a match bonus up to $100. Also, if you're a first-time user, you get a free $20 entry, no deposit required. Just download the Sleeper app, and you'll get that free $20 entry, or you can stack it with our bonus and get the match deposit up to $100 just with our promo code USCLAFB. All right, so right now, and there's a lot of conflicting reports out there and not a ton of details, but what I know, based on who I've talked to, is there is some form of a contract that USC has gone back to Notre Dame with, extending the series 1 to 2 years. I've kind of heard both. Essentially allowing them to, keep the game going in whatever capacity that I believe is what I'll get into, until they can kind of figure out what the long term can look like based on what happens in the college football landscape. From USC's angle, they don't want to lock into a long-term deal not knowing what the college football landscape looks like, what automatic qualifiers are, what, if there's going to be more conference realignment, all these other factors. And so they don't want to get locked in to where then they have no wiggle room to change. So 1 to 2 year deals, like, okay, we want this, let's just get this out of the way, right? Both schools want the rivalry to stay. I don't care what any fan thinks. Like, USC wants this game to continue. Lincoln Riley has been emphatic. One of the reasons why he came to USC was because of this rivalry. But you have to do what's best for your team and your university. And the way it is right now scheduled does not behoove USC based on what their schedule is. So in this contract, USC wants the flexibility, and I don't even know if it's set in stone, it has to be September, but they want the flexibility to move it. And so quickly, just getting on scheduling, Notre Dame, as I've been told by 1,000 people, picks their schedule like a decade in advance. They start mapping it out. They get to hand pick it, whoever they choose, and whoever will agree, pick the dates and all that. Obviously, they've been locked in with this USC home and away for however long the last contract was signed. I don't know that, to be honest with you. But with the October Notre Dame home and with the November USC home date, and then they've obviously scheduled then around that. But they have games scheduled through 2033, right? On the books already. Let's see here. I think they have actual dates that far in advance. Let me just confirm that. Yeah. Through 2033, they already have like Duke scheduled in September 24th. Which I'll get to later. They have Michigan again. Rivalry they ended. I'll get to that later. And Virginia Tech, they have November 5th. And then they have other games scheduled without the date yet, based on their ACC partnership. So they get to pick that all and kind of decide it how they best see fit. USC or any Big Ten team, and I won't even speak on the SEC or the Big 12 or the ACC, how they do things, but just specifically the Big Ten, they get like a 5-year knowing their opponents, but 0 dates are set. So right now they have through 2028, because this is now their 2nd year in the conference, of their Big Ten opponents set, similar to how the NFL does, but they won't get the dates until before next season. So knowing that logically, you don't want to lock yourself into a potential like grueling game late in the season. If then all of a sudden you find out ahead of the season, oh, we get to go at Oregon, at Ohio State, Notre Dame, at Washington, like whatever it may be. Like, why would you set yourself up for that? It just doesn't make any sense tactically. And Notre Dame, you can't, like, Notre Dame fans can't come and say, we'll just play the game whenever, because you get to decide your schedule. Like, you choose already, 10 years from now when you're playing who. So you can move things around. Let's look at your schedule this year. Right? You played NC State and Boise State the last 2 weeks. Now you get USC. Then no more ranked opponents. Boston College, Navy, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, Stanford. It's a nice way to end the season. And this isn't just USC. This is, any other conference opponent, because the season, typically it gets harder for conference football teams as the year goes on. USC then goes at Nebraska. Whether they're ranked or not, that's a tough environment, but they're ranked right now. Play Iowa, at Oregon, and then their interstate rivalry, UCLA. So all USC is asking is like, hey, let's move this game, or have the flexibility to move this game to September. We don't have to end it. You're one of our 3 non-conference opponents. Let's play it in September. And, then that doesn't make us have this slate of game in the meat of our conference schedule. And I don't think everyone keeps bringing up the travel. I don't think that's what they're worried about. I mean, in the conference, they're going to have to go back and forth all the time. So I don't think the travel. It's more just like stacking up another, because Notre Dame's a great program. They're a good football team. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, this is a tough game. This is a tough environment. This is a rivalry game. So let's stack it up in the beginning so we don't have to have it right in the meat of our conference. And so I've seen others say, well, Notre Dame already had, look what they've done in their beginning, because other teams are doing that too, right? Like that Texas wants to play them in the beginning, not the end of their schedule. Alabama wants to play them in the beginning, not the end of the schedule. I'm not saying it's never happened. You can find instances where it has happened, but it is rare. So they play in the beginning. Well, that would be suicide, playing Texas, Alabama, and then USC. How's that any different from USC playing Michigan, Notre Dame, Nebraska, Oregon, back to back to back to back? It's the same thing. You just have Notre Dame has a say in when they can do it, and any conference team does not. When you look at rivalries, because now this was the other point people bring up, a vast majority of non-conference rivalries happen in September. Like, people brought up Auburn, Alabama, conference rivalry. Don't even bring that to the table. Ohio State, Michigan, conference rivalry. Don't even bring that to the table. That's USC, UCLA. A vast majority are played in September for the very reason I'm laying out. Pittsburgh, West Virginia. Colorado State. I know that doesn't seem like a premier rivalry, but it is a big rivalry in the state of Colorado, where I'm from. Colorado, Nebraska now has brought back some of those games. Those are played in September. Utah, BYU, before being in the Big 12 now. The last time they played before this weekend, the Holy War, one of the most historic rivalries in football, maybe doesn't get the love it deserved, dating back to like 1870 something. Before this Saturday, had a 3-year hiatus. The last game was played September 11th of 2021, because both teams were out of conference. Iowa State plays most of the time in September. The Apple Cup, because of this new realignment, Washington State now is in September. Civil War, Oregon State, because of this new alignment, now in September. Now, as some fans astutely brought up, there are out-of-conference rivalries that do happen on rivalry at the end of the season. Georgia Tech being one, Kentucky Louisville being one, Florida State and Florida being one. So there are some, but there's also two major differences. One, unlike USC-Notre Dame, those are interstate rivalries. And two, in June and was it May and June or June and July? Both the ACC and the SEC joined with the Big 10 and the Big 12 in moving to 9 conference games. Previously, they only required 8. So then you had 4 out-of-conference games. That was 3 months ago. That is absolutely going to elicit some changes to future scheduling. 1,000%. We'll see how quickly it happens. I think some of these games will still stay for the foreseeable future. But when contracts are up, just like this one is, things will change. And those games will get moved. Because now the SEC plays 9 conference games. So I don't know if Kentucky is going to want to play Louisville in the last game of the season. That may move. When contracts end, things get renegotiated. Like in any business, in any occupation, anything you do, things get renegotiated to work better for both sides. The big change here is USC now being in the Big 10. The Big 10 schedules differently. There's 9 conference games. And the contract was up. So it was looking at what was beneficial for both. With this new realignment, of schedule. So this gets back to the very first statement that Notre Dame needs this game more than USC does. Non-conference games are meaningless. Again, this is not coming as a fan. This is just coming as a realist. Non-conference games are now meaningless. We can talk about any Big 10, SEC, Big 12, any of these teams we want to, but obviously I'll keep it to USC. If USC wins 8 of their 9 conference games every year and just wins their 3 non-conference, I don't care who it is, they're in the playoff. It's just simple numbers. So Notre Dame does not matter as a resume builder. It's great for the game. It's great for fans, but it means nothing for the resume. It looks good on the resume, but it doesn't matter. Look at Indiana last year. Indiana had a cupcake schedule. They made the playoff. They took care of business. They won the games they had to, and they made the playoff. Notre Dame still needs, because they're not in a conference, meaningful, big brand games. Now, a lot of people will say, well, everyone will line up to play Notre Dame. So if USC cancels this game, or if they can't agree, then we'll just go find an SEC team to take their spot. We'll go find another Big 10 team to take their spot. Where I'd push back on that is, again, all conferences now require 9 games, so that changes a lot. You can't keep looking at the past. This is now moving forward into 26, where all conferences require 9 games. So not everyone's going to be lining up to play Notre Dame. And 2, for decades, college football has been bowing down to Notre Dame, has been bending their knee to appease to Notre Dame. Just talk to every other fan base. They'll agree with you. This is more my opinion, but because of these new conference requirements, I don't think people are going to be lining up to play Notre Dame. I'm not saying it's going to be a boycott. I'm not saying that drastic. But I don't think Notre Dame's going to go to whoever, Ole Miss, be like, hey, SC doesn't want to play us in November. You guys down? No, we'll pass. We're good. We'll play Mercer in November for our tune-up game. Go to Arizona State. Hey, USC doesn't want to, do you want to play us in October? Nah, we're good. We're okay. We have a tough enough schedule as it is. So I don't think this cocky ego of we'll just replace USC with another big brand. In my opinion, I don't think it's gonna be as easy as that. You might get some. I'm speaking again more of just of my opinion right now. But with the raw requirement of conference games, so every team only has 3 non-conference. Those that are not already scheduled or can't renegotiate out of it are not going to be looking to add that game because they don't need to. Win 80 of your conference games and sweep your 3 easy powder puff games and you're in. That's just common sense. So you can hate it as a fan. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But that's the way it is now in college football. And if you're Notre Dame, I get it. Like, I wouldn't join a conference up until this point if I'm Notre Dame. We had our own TV deal. We don't split any revenue with that TV deal. We make the college football playoff. We don't split any revenue with that bonus for making the playoff. Like, why would they? So the other point of that's laughable to me is when fans will say, or not just fans, but media and other people that are on the Notre Dame side will say, you know, USC and the Big 10 is just all about money. And I'm not saying they're not. But to say that from the mountaintop that is Notre Dame, that makes more money than another program privately from their own TV deal, from their own non-rev share deal. I mean, it's like throwing stones at a glass house. It's very laughable. The old biblical parable, right? Like, why don't you take the plank out of your own eye before looking at the speck in your brother's eye? It's just laughable. So I want this game to go on. I think the only way it does is if it happens early in the season. prior to conference play, or, and this will never happen, but if conferences end conference title games, then that's another interesting discussion. Because that's the other piece that Notre Dame never has to do, that every other conference team ends up having to play, and it typically has a disadvantage. Whether you end up making the playoff or not, right? I'm not just saying like playing that game decides if you make it, but it's another game to get players beat up, to risk injuries, to put more film out there. Just an additional game. Notre Dame never has to play that. They played it one time in 2020, the COVID year. They were forced to join the ACC, essentially, because no one could schedule non-conference games. So they were forced to play a full ACC schedule. They went to the conference title game. They got belt whipped by Clemson. And then they still made the playoff. So that's what a lot of people's excuse will be. Well, look, we were in the conference title and we still made the playoff. But the Big Ten played 7 games that year. They did send Ohio State, but they played 7 total games as a conference. The Pac-12 played 6, essentially disqualifying them from the college football playoff conversation. So yeah, great. You got in that one year. You played in a title game and lost. Then you got belt whooped by Alabama in that round as well. But when you have to play that extra game, it can have huge impacts. And in 2022, and people can take this however they want, SC was the 4th ranked team in the country. This was Lincoln Riley's first year, Caleb Williams' Heisman year. If they had had a Notre Dame situation, they'd be in the playoff. They were 11-1. Only loss was in Salt Lake in a thriller against Utah. Beat Notre Dame that year. They'd have been in the playoff. But they played the Pac-12 title game. Caleb Williams gets hurt in the first quarter. It's all hypothetical. They may have still lost had he not gotten hurt, but they lost primarily because he got hurt. He was on one leg. Anyone that actually watched that game. They lose the game. Obviously, they don't make the playoff. No one from the Pac-12 does. Yada, yada. That's just one example. Like, they would have been in had they not had to play in a conference game when the margins are that thin. Now, with a 12-team playoff, it's very different. But yeah. So anyway, those are some of my thoughts on this. I don't want it to go anywhere. I love it. I'm so excited for tomorrow. I love the conversation. I love the debate. I love the rivalry, the historic rivalry. But it's got to work out for both teams on both terms. And there's a reason why Notre Dame wants to keep it the way it is. And there's a reason why USC wants to change it to what they want. The question is, will they be able to come at an impasse and figure it out? I mean, Notre Dame, Michigan had a rivalry that ended. Right? That game from 1978 to 2018 was played in September. That was a great rivalry. Notre Dame, actually, from what I've read, was the one that ended that rivalry. Now they are playing again in 2033, I believe. They have a schedule in September. Game in September. So yeah. We'll see what happens. USC obviously has a lot of flexibility with their non-conference schedule right now. I think, what is it? UNLV is their only team scheduled for the foreseeable future. And then UNLV or Fresno, it might be Fresno State. And then, Notre Dame has a lot more scheduled out, but they do still have, 2027. They have a September slot open. They only have 2 games scheduled. Obviously you can move things. We've seen since the SEC changed to this 9-game format, we've already seen mini games canceled, mini non-conference home and aways canceled already. So I think a lot more will be coming. Having that 9-game conference schedule changes a lot, guy. I think everyone's underestimating that. That changes a lot. And as in anything, as I'll say it again, in business, which this is now a business, when a contract term ends, you look at what worked in the past and where the future is going and look at what works best for both sides. You don't just say, hey, this is how we've always done it. Let's just keep it the same. Not taking into account where the business is going, what the future may hold, what changes are on the horizon. It's just the way it works. If you don't understand that or don't want to believe that, then, I don't know what to tell you. You can yell at the clouds all you want. You can shake your fists at anyone you want. But that's the reality. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. USC fans, if there's any Notre Dame fans watching, comment below. We'd love to get your opinions on this. It's going to be a fantastic game tomorrow in South Bend. As of now, last I saw, Notre Dame a 9-point favorite. And, I did a full preview yesterday here on the USC LAFB channel. So make sure to check that out. If you want kind of the breakdown of, the matchups and, how the different defense and offenses match up together. So thank you as always for hanging out with me. Always a blast. Just love getting on here and talking some ball, and hopefully everyone enjoys. So as always, fight on.